4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
Today was the day that I put everything in perspective. I fell asleep, but when I woke up, everything changed and the skies turned off. That was before. That was before. You came along and you played me a song with a little bit of love and a little bit of yeah.
AT&T covers 97% of all Americans.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 a.m. and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
We continue with Tigers Roar here on Pelican Sports TV, taking a little further in-depth breakdown on LSU. As we have talked about, they did force turnovers, 4 against the 4 that West Virginia committed. LSU committed none in that game. Let's hear from Coach Les Miles and some players about the defense forcing turnovers.
I think there's a good piece of the fact that you have great speed, you get to the ball violently, you understand that the ball is the issue and that you want to take that thing away. I think it happens on defense, and I think there are good players there. I think there are guys with great speed and ability to do those things. We work ball security in every practice, and we work strip and take away in every practice.
You know, Coach brought in film of the Saints training camp, and you know, they had a big emphasis on, you know, stripping the ball, making turnovers and whatnot, and that got them. We believe that got them to where they were last year in the you know, in the championship game. You know, we're just trying to influence as much of the game as possible with that, and just try to go on and build on what the Saints have.
You know, our mindset is just really to get out the field as quick as we can. You know, whether it's a 3 and out or whether it's a strip, or interception. You know, we just want to get a ball right back to our offense.
We done held up a drill, like we're running like tempo, and we done held up the drill because he's trying to take the ball from me, and I'm not letting him. And then we done fell on the ground and all sorts of kind of things, and it's just that competitive nature that we both have.
Turnovers always play a key role in the winner and the loser of a football game. We can go to the youth leagues, junior high program, high school, college, pro. You can look at that stat, and many more times than not, it tells a tale.
It is. It's the most important stat that leads to the only stat that matters, and that's the final score. Turnovers are the big factor. And listen, creating turnovers is an art form. Chicago Bears do the best job of it in the NFL, teaching it and tackling the football, stripping the football. The Saints, as you kind of alluded to in that piece, do a great job. Greg Williams teaches it. I work with Greg, and the emphasis on trying to strip the ball is really important. Gang tackling, one guy holds up, the other guy strips the ball. It is an art form. It's something you teach and you preach, and good defensive teams are able to create extra possessions for their offense. In some cases, score points, as we've seen this LSU team do.
And, of course, in the ball game against West Virginia, ABC made a little bit of a deal out of it and showed some clips from a pregame, a little chirping, a little trash talking. People, let me explain to you. on a football field, in particular at the collegiate level, which is what we're talking about right now, things get said on the field. A lot of things that we can't even repeat right here on television get said on the field. Sometimes it's part of the game. Sometimes it's gamesmanship, if you will. Sometimes certain guys cross the line. There's no question about that. But here's some comments by Coach Les Miles and some players about the talking, the smack, the trash, whatever term you want to put it. Let's hear these comments, and then Chris and I will comment when we hear from Coach Miles and the players about trash talking.
There is a confidence that you need to play with. There needs to be a want for competition and an enjoyment of being tested.
You know, everybody's very opinionated. You know, nobody lacks that on our defense. Well, I don't know if it's swag. I think it's just everybody kind of, you know, is giving as much of an input to the game as possible. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, guys really want to be in tune in the game, and you know, it's just the whole game atmosphere getting to us.
For the most part, I do it pretty much for the most of the game. So it's just really about me just trying to catch an edge, you know, any way that we can. You know, just keep our defense motivated. You know, just trying to stay in control of, you know, the game.
Well, you know, in between every play, it's going to be some trash talking, and it's going to be, you know, some fierceness going on. There's going to be some guys pushing somebody. There's going to be a referee throwing a 15-yard penalty flag on our defense. That's because our guys are into the game 110% of the time. They never take a play off. They're always hungry. If we bust an assignment, we're going to go 110%. And, you know, we might come off as a cocky and arrogant defense, but that's just guys out there that want one thing, that's just to win. You know, we show our humbleness at times, such as in the game when I held the referee, I came between two teams and separated our guys from their guys. That shows that we are controlling, we are humble, but we just play fierce and fast.
Oh, a lot of talking. Started on from in our dorm rooms to the cafeteria to 7-on-7 in the summertime, and now it's on the field, on the game field, and they're backing it up. So, I mean, what can you say about it?
If you are one of those type of players, I mean, you have to back it up. You don't want to be one trash talking and really, you know, not a dominant player. So we got dominant players on the defense side of the ball, and I think they back it up each and every week, and I'm glad to have defense like that on my team.
It's a part of the game. Everybody talks a little now and then. We just got to make sure we don't let it get too out of hand, and that's not how we play. So Coach Tavis talked a little bit about that too, and we know what we got to do this week.
I don't know that you can have too much swagger. Of course, obviously, according to our defense, that's their MO. You know, it's football. It's a tough physical game. And it's not just physical. It's mental. Of course, maybe there are some times where they could, you know, turn around and walk back to the huddle, but a lot of times they're just trying to get in the other team's head, and obviously it's work.
I think we trash talk a lot, you know. And, you know, as a defense, you know, we might have to tone it down a little bit. You know, you know, SEC officials, those guys are gonna be paying close attention to it now. So it's really about us just, you know, making a play and just worrying about the next play after that.
But I didn't see any backup, and I didn't see any withdrawal from that secondary, and I enjoyed that. I think we need to improve. There's some tremendous mistakes that were made. But it wasn't made because they didn't have confidence and weren't playing aggressively to the ball.
Chris, on this whole topic of trash talking, number one, I'm not a fan of it. I understand things happen. I understand things get said. I could probably tolerate a quick burst or two out of a player, you know, a display of emotion. I think there's a line that should never be crossed with, you know, and I don't need to get into examples of that. You can figure that out. But it is part of football. It always has been. It always will be. I just don't like it when a player on any team, all of a sudden draws extra attention to themselves. You know, if you're going to walk by, if I've just covered you on a pass route and we're going back toward the huddle and I'm kind of just saying something like, I thought you were faster than that. You know, yeah, I really thought you were faster than that.
Right.
You know, that's all part of the game. That's
Right.
fun. You know, you're getting inside the guy's head.
Right.
You know, but if we're running back the huddle and I'm talking about your girlfriend and what I did with her last night, I mean, that's going over
Or
the line.
you look at me.
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
me.
You know what I
making
mean?
it very-
And it's almost like you make the analogy in baseball. If you're a hitter and you don't like the way the pitch is called, there's a way you can stand there and say, "Hey, ump, I thought that ball was outside."
Right.
Or you can get into the theatrics and draw attention.
That's when
to
you're
yourself,
gonna get in
and
trouble.
That's when you're going to get in trouble. And if I were a football coach, and I coached at the high school level briefly, never, as a head coach in the 9th grade, an assistant on a varsity, but I would never have tolerated that going over a line. Again, I think I'd have a line in the sand that I drew. You've been in there, done that, college and pro. It's a lot more in the pros. I remember, I'm going to let you comment,
yeah.
but one of the funniest things in the pros was Chris Carter was a wide receiver for the Vikings, and, of course, close to being a Hall of Famer, and he may be one day, but he had some guy kept guarding him during the game, covered him, and about the third quarter, Chris Carter tells this other player, he says, "Man, how long you been in the league?" And, the other player was getting a little excited, like, man, he might be complimenting me here or something. And so he answered him, and Chris Carter said, "Well, you're not on a dental plan yet? Can you get them teeth fixed?" I mean, he was meaning to jump on him as opposed to compliment him. So that was a cute story that I had heard years ago. Okay, I've been babbling, not trash talking, babbling. Your comments on that whole topic.
I think, certainly, and this falls a little bit on generational lines, I know, as to whether you like it or not. But let's just put that aside for the time being. I think you're right. I think that the gamesmanship that goes on is one thing. But here's the reality. You may not like the way an official's calling holding or interference. But if you don't adjust to the rule, you're going to get called for it and you're going to hurt your team. Well, this is a rule. This is no different. If you draw attention to yourself and you start doing this, what you're going to get is you're going to get 15-yard penalties. And if you're a really great player, you don't need to draw that extra attention that you're talking about. Your play on the field is going to prove it. Going to prove it. And why give, in most cases, an inferior opponent an extra edge by giving a 15-yard penalty that could give them a first down when you stopped them? It's tough. It's competitive. I know how that is. I've been there, done that. Trust me. I've done things on the sidelines and on the field that I wish I could take back. That's just the reality. But it's about poise, and it's what you teach is you have to make sure you don't respond in a way that's going to hurt your team. And that's it. Period. End of discussion. That's the way you have to approach it. And I think anything else is being a little selfish. It's being not under control, and that's what you have to be. You have to be aggressive. You have to do whatever lights your fire, but not step over to where you can be a detriment to your team. And
don't
that's
want to cost your team.
Absolutely. That's what it really comes down to.
Of course, the defense gave up all the yardage. We talked about that, and kind of Chris explained that. But here's some comments about improvements that need to be made on the defense by Coach Les Miles, as well as some of the LSU players.
Flag, and it's something that needs to be addressed and corrected, and certainly that's what we do. I don't know that you build a monument to any of those mistakes because, frankly, I think they're correctable, and I think we have good players, and I think our players will be able to, do the things that they're expected to do.
We spent a little bit more time on film today. We got chewed out a little bit more than we normally do, and they just wanted to let us know that as a defense, we got to do better if we want to accomplish the goal that we want to accomplish.
Yeah, most of everything, that kind of hurt us last weekend was, the pre-reads and, just the showing of coverage. I think we're going to have to mix it up a little more, and just stop making it so one-dimensional. But, I think as long as we play our game, everything will fall into place.
I think we need to improve on, not holding back so much. Sometimes we'll let the scheme get too much in our head and we'll concentrate too much on it. And even me as myself, I'll get caught up in the scheme instead of just going out there and play football. Sometimes you'll be so focused and so into stuff that you actually slow down your technique or slow down your pass rush just so you can make sure that you get the scheme right. But you have to be a football player and you have to relax and let go and go out there and play your fullest dominant football.
I think the biggest thing you noticed, Chris, was like a lot of missed tackles.
Yeah, 19 missed tackles that led to 116 yards on my film breakdown. There were about, 3 really, potentially 4 more interceptions that it could have been had in position. Lots of blown assignments. They didn't read plays very well. Those are things that we talked about in the early part of the show. That's a part of a little bit of doing something that they're not as scheme diverse and playing off. It's going to put you in a situation where you're going to have to be a better tackling team. So it exposes those deficiencies, and so I think that it was a very we call it teaching moments on the film when you have a lot of those mistakes. But there's no question that there's lots that needs to be improved upon, and that as they go forward, something that I think they need to adjust to.
Jarrett Lee, the quarterback for LSU, he has shown confidence. He has gotten a little better each and every week. His team's 4-0. They're highly ranked. They're getting ready to play a couple of ball games at home. Here's some comments from Coach Les Miles and the player about quarterback Jarrett Lee.
Yeah, I think he continues to get better. I think he continues to take coaching. He understands that it's work in progress, and again, I think he's improved, and I think he will continue to improve. And I think this weekend will be another step for him.
Oh, I mean, he's done a good job executing the game plan throughout this season. I think Coach get more and more confident in him each and every week. So I think he's pretty much developed himself as a starter.
Somebody like Jarrett Lee, he's been at the top. 2008, he beat Auburn. He's on top of the world. Everybody loves him. Then throughout that season, he was at the bottom of the pit. And everybody kind of hated him. Everybody, despised the name. And now he's back on top. So when you have a young man who's been through things like that at such a young age, Jarrett Lee doesn't have any. It takes a lot to shake somebody like him. And I'm proud of him, man. And I look forward to helping him make plays for him and just playing with all these guys.
Trying to mature every week, trying to become more better player every week. But our team's improving. We're on the same page with those receivers and tailbacks, and the offensive line's doing a great job blocking. And we're just trying to get better every week.
Let's take a look at Jarrett Lee's statistics, the quarterback of the 4-0 LSU Tigers, and will be the quarterback against Kentucky. As we've mentioned, Jordan Jefferson has been reinstated to the team. Here's his numbers against West Virginia and his season stats. It's numbers that I believe the coaches, if you could have told them back on September 1, here's what you're going to have out of him come the end of September, going into the Kentucky game, and you'd be 4-0. I think the coaches would be pleased overall.
Absolutely. Look at the 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, protecting the football, yet making big plays. They did a really good job with running out of 11 personnel, 3 wide receiver sets most of the game. They were in 3 wide receiver sets, Tommy, 49 of the 69 snaps. I mean, they opened it up pretty effectively against that 3-3-5 stack that we mentioned last week. Was a big part of what West Virginia runs to try to take away the run game. LSU was not bashful about, hey, we're going to spread you out, we're going to try to throw the football and throw it effectively. And they did. They had a 33-26 time or possession advantage over West Virginia, yet 18 few offensive snaps. They were very effective protecting the football and managing plays very well. So, listen, I mean, that they protected it much better than West Virginia was able to protect it, and that is a big reason why they're able to win. Offense deserves a whole lot of credit, not much, a lot. It's been talked about the defense and what they didn't do. It's the offensive effectiveness that really was a big part of this team's victory.
Some other statistics to look at: Spencer Ware, the running back from up in Cincinnati, Ohio. Spencer Ware versus West Virginia, 97 yards on 23 carries. That's good numbers on the season. Again, a good yards per carry average. And Spencer Ware continues to do a good job.
The best player on third downs for him in this game, he was 4 of 5 on third downs for him. He was just outstanding. He had 26 touches. As you mentioned, the rushes, but also in the passing game. Very effective, was the key guy on third downs for him. He continues to be their go-to guy in the running game.
And, of course, Ruben Randall, yeah, he dropped a touchdown. Some days that's going to happen, but he nonetheless still ended up with a decent ball game, 6 catches for 53 yards on the season, 18 catches. And, again, no one felt worse than he did about dropping that touchdown. I can assure you that. but Ruben Randall, he'll make up for that one day, and they'll still go to him.
Well, absolutely no. I think he's still the one that dictates the most coverage attention. Certainly in the passing game has been Ruben Randall. He's got to be more consistent seeing the ball in his hands, no question. But he's a size mismatch and certainly a good player for him. And I think a big part as Russell Shepard comes back. Odell Beckham really starting to develop. We're going to get to him in a second, I know, but that's only going to make Ruben opportunities be more significant in terms of big plays, and I think we're going to see that progress with the way Jarrett's starting to really pick up this offense.
And the freshman from Newman High School in New Orleans, Odell Beckham, he continues to shine. He had the long touchdown catch of 52 yards against West Virginia, one other catch for 30. Beckham has not played like a freshman. That's a cliche. We keep saying it, but nonetheless, it fits Odell Beckham.
Well, no question about it. He's got great catching radius. The ability to catch the ball out of frame is outstanding. The ability to line up in the slot on the outside gives him versatility, scheme to versatility. And listen, we're talking about 11 personnel and all the 3 wide snaps, 49 to 69. That can't happen if you don't have him being able to step up, and his reliability, a big factor, no question about it. And I think one of the more encouraging signs is this offense has a chance to be pretty good by season's end. And we talked about it. You can talk about rankings and all that. Really doesn't matter to me right now. This team is a pretty good-looking team, but how much better can it get? I think offensively it can get even better, and it's on its way. We'll see how it progresses.
You got offense, you got defense, you got special teams. Here's some comments by Coach Miles and the players about the special teams. Again, Brad Wing, the outstanding performance punting the football, and Mo Claiborne happened to go 99 yards with a kickoff. Enjoy these comments.
For winning, throw in special teams. That Brad Wing averaged 48 yards a punt, punted them down in there 6 of 10 punts, and inside the 10, and was named SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. Felt like James Hairston came in and kicked for us and gave us a real lift there, hit the ball in the end zone a couple of times, and provided us with some nice hang time and distance. And then, of course, Mo Claiborne scores on a kickoff return at a time where the momentum of the game was very much in question, and it just absolutely extinguished any hope that the opponent had a victory.
You know, my goal is personally just to try and eliminate their return game and to make it as difficult, for their offense as it is to score. So they had a great returner in Tavon Austin, and we tried to shut him down in the both kickoff and punt return game, and I feel like we did that pretty well to some extent. And the field position, was a big thing, and that's what I want to do. I want to try and make it difficult for their offense to drive 90 yards on our defense, because we have a pretty good defense. And so I think that's a big thing that I try
and do. Chris, you've been there, done that. As far as I can tell, nothing flips momentum more than a kickoff return for a touchdown, because it's coming on the heels, other than the beginning of the game, beginning of the third quarter, of success for the other team. Coach Miles mentioned when that happened, momentum was very much in question. If the other team picks up a first down or two and throws a pick six, yeah, it's a momentum changer, but It didn't come on the heels of the other team getting a field goal or a touchdown. Mo Claiborne, that was a key point in that football game.
Well, let's kind of put it in perspective. West Virginia starting to move the ball. I thought really made some good halftime adjustments with their protections and moved the football, went in, scored, got it within 6. They kick off, and they have Mo Claiborne hemmed in. They just don't make the tackle. If they make that tackle, it's 15, 18. I mean, it's not even to the 20-yard line. They got momentum. LSU's back on their own end, up by 6. How do they handle that? We don't know. I mean, it's something
we will never know.
Exactly. So you're in that situation, but it goes the other way. You don't make the tackle. He creases it. he goes, and all of a sudden the air's out, and it is a game of what ifs. What if Ruben Rando gets that, that he catches that touchdown pass? We don't even get to that. But that was the key. I mean, that was kind of the dagger. It wasn't technically over, but it took the sails out, and it took the momentum completely away from West Virginia, momentum that they had built. That LSU, again, might have been able to come out of that and protected their 6-point lead and add it with their offense. But the reality is they didn't, and it didn't happen that way. And I think they liked their chances at that point, getting back in that game, keeping them on their own end, keeping LSU on their own end, in closing the gap to 6 points. But that's a great momentum shift.
Here's a comment on the injuries from the West Virginia game. Keep in mind these comments were made Monday at Coach Les Miles' press luncheon. Here they are.
Yeah, I think T-Bob is day to day, and I think Hurst is likely. I think let's see who else it might be. I think Lawston is also a likely, but and Brockers is also a guy that'll be out today, but probably be back into the week.
They're doing all right. A little banged up. Of course, it might be a couple days before we'll know a little bit more. But we're confident in the backups. Greg Shaw will probably play right tackle, and he's done a tremendous job in Chris Falk's absence. Williford will probably go to right guard, and I'll probably move to left, which, again, is not a problem. That's how we finished the second half last week. And we have tremendous depth, and we're not worried about it too much at all.
Still to come on tonight's program, Chris Landry will go around the SEC, let you know what's happening with the other 11 teams in the conference. Of course, LSU playing Kentucky this week, but we'll go around the SEC. And when we return, we'll take our weekly run through the LSU athletic department. We got a little volleyball, a little soccer, a little women's golf, and then a new feature we're going to add to Tigers Roar each and every week from the Louisiana Sports Writers Association. We'll be back with more of Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Our primary fundamental belief is that better ingredients, better pizza is quality, and that's what Papa John's is all about. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Right now, get any large pizza with your choice of toppings, even our signature specialties, only $11. That's right. Order now at papajohns.com and get any large pizza with any toppings, just $11, only at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
The family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr. and our highly trained staff are dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages in all aspects of dental care. 23 years of experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Fruget to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation, because we know how to make you smile.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score, 1210 a.m., and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
It's time to take our weekly run through the athletic department here on Tigers Roar, including another little feature we'll tell you about. Up first, some volleyball news for you, an update on the record for Coach Fran Flory's Lady Tiger volleyball team. They are now 10-3 overall, 3-0 in conference play. That's always a plus. Defeated Mississippi State their last outing 3-0. Their next match will be Friday, September 30th at 7 o'clock in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center against Tennessee. No surprise that Fran Flory continues to do a great job with the volleyball team.
Well, it's good to see them playing so well in conference. Apparently, they seem to be one of the upper echelon teams in the SEC. It'd be fun to watch them.
And, of course, the Coach Brian Lee's soccer team, their next game also against Tennessee on the 30th out at the LSU Soccer Stadium. Last time out of the gate, they beat Ole Miss 3-2. They're ranked number 34 in the NCAA RPI of the soccer programs nationwide, 7-3-1 overall. Brian Lee continues to do a good job. They've improved the soccer facility out there. If you haven't been out there to the soccer stadium this year, do get on LSUsports.net. Get out there this Friday night if you're not at a high school game and check that out. Something we want to add to the program each and every week. Each week, the Louisiana Sports Writers Association gives out an offense, defensive, special teams player of the week award collegiately across the state of Louisiana. Obviously, this is Tigers Roar with the emphasis on LSU, but as we have done many times before, we do mention other schools and other coaches and other programs in Louisiana, and not just Northwestern State when they play LSU. So the Louisiana Sports Writers Association, the weekly awards this week on offense went to Blaine Goche, a quarterback from Lutcher High School for the ULL Ragin' Cajuns, who are off to a 3-1 start. He's just made his third start only for Louisiana Lafayette as they upset Florida International on the road. Blaine Goche, again, from Lutcher High School, had some really impressive numbers. He gets the Offensive Player of the Week from the Louisiana Sports Writers Association. No surprise on the other two defensively, Tyron Matthew from LSU. If you win the national award, you should win the award in your state. Special teams, Brad Wing from LSU. And again, we're going to do this each and every week with the three different players. And they bounce around from the different schools around the state, and that way you can know some other good players, be it at Louisiana Lafayette or Tulane or McNeese or whatever, Southern, who are having good weeks.
Well, Goche played very well for ULL, and that was a great win. You mentioned Florida International, good team. That was the most impressive victory of the year. The Cajuns are playing good ball. It's going to be interesting to see the roster overall, not what you'd call upper echelon in that conference, but that was a big win, and maybe build some momentum. They can continue good play. I know Mark's done a good job with that team, but it'll be interesting to see how they can continue going forward here.
Well, and they've created some excitement in Lafayette. They've sold some more season tickets than they have in a while. And they got a homestand coming up, so get on out to Cajun Field. Coach Mark Hudspeth and that staff doing what they can do. And is the big tight end still hurt? I know he missed action earlier. He's an NFL prospect.
He is. He's a very talented guy. Ladarius Green's a really good player, but his inability to stay healthy has been problematic. And really, I mean, it makes that 3-1 record all the more impressive because if they get him involved and healthy on a sustained level, they've got a chance to be a pretty good offense with the way Goche's moving the team.
When we come back, we'll go around the SEC. We got some other stuff for you pertaining to LSU, and we'll repeat the story on Jordan Jefferson as well. We'll come back and do that with NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. I am Tommy Krysan. Spread the roar. Wednesday nights live from 8 to 10 p.m. You're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tynan, Miss Louisiana Team USA 2011.
And I'm Paige Pennick, Miss Louisiana USA 2011.
And you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us It's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants, and it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants, and again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
Our primary fundamental belief is that better ingredients, better pizza is quality, and that's what Papa John's is all about. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Right now, get any large pizza with your choice of toppings, even our signature specialties, only $11. That's right. Order now at papajohns.com and get any large pizza with any toppings, just $11, only at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
We continue with Tigers Roar, and we want to remind you, we're immediately following the LSU-Kentucky contest on Saturday in Tiger Stadium at about 2:30, give or take a few minutes. It'll be the Phones First WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show with Richard Condon and me, Tommy Chrysan, and Phones First, most importantly, that's you. As soon as that game clock says 0:00, give us 4, 5, 6 minutes. We'll be on the air on the radio on WJBO 1150 AM on your radio dial for all of you in the parking lot or in the cars heading home from the game. If you're at home on TV, it's Pelican Sports TV, PelicanSportsTV.com. WJBO is also streaming online at WJBO.com. It's the Phones First that WJBO has been known for so many years in this market. Post-game show, we thank all the folks at Clear Channel. A lot of people are involved with making this simulcast happen of radio and TV for you, from the engineers at Clear Channel, Richard and Joey, to Bob and Mike and Marianne and all the people over there. The entire staff at Pelican Sports TV has played a role in that as well. And that's immediately following the LSU-Kentucky game, and that'll be the case after each and every game, home or away. We appreciate the tremendous response we had last week after the West Virginia game. This will be a little different. It'll be 2:30 or so in the afternoon as opposed to last night. I think we hit the air at last Saturday night at 10:55 p.m. And then we're going to go for 2 hours. You're going to get your phone calls, your comments, Phones First. We'll have stats. We got some special features, some contributors. We got the whole thing for you on that. WJBO 1150 AM in Baton Rouge, which, of course, is a sister station to the Score 1210 AM, where you hear the Chris Landry Show and Pelican Sports Radio and the all-day local lineup of sports talk from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the Score 1210 AM in Baton Rouge. Chris, it's time for you to trot around the SEC and get everybody up to date on what's happening with the other programs aside from LSU.
Well, certainly the marquee matchup in conference is going to be the primetime matchup. The Alabama, the Crimson Tide goes into the Swamp to play Florida. This is a very impressive-looking Florida team, but they haven't played anybody yet, Tommy. And this is going to be an interesting test because you see a lot of speed on offense. The perimeter run game is very effective. The passing game has been inconsistent. The interior running game has been inconsistent. But, boy, you see Rainey and Dempsey. You see the speed here. If you take the wrong angle, it's usually going to result in 6. Defensively, watching this Florida team on film, they're very effective up front. They are doing a really good job, get good interior pressure. The linebackers are good. Their corners are young, and I would expect Alabama to try to test them. But as you see, really, Florida just dominating, annihilating Kentucky. They scored like 21 points in under like 3 minutes, really quick here, and this is the first one of the 3. This is going to be an interesting matchup. I really believe, of course, we're going to talk a lot about Florida next week. The LSU plays them. This kind of softens up Florida a little bit if you're LSU. Alabama goes there. This Florida team is going to have to endure a lot physically before LSU gets them. So it's going to be a good, interesting, really interesting matchup. If LSU's defense is not the best in the country, then Alabama's most certainly is. They're a little bit more scheme diverse. They're not quite as talented in my mind as LSU, but they're very good. What I'm looking at this offense of Alabama's, Tommy, this offensive line is not doing a really good job creating run surges. Both the backs, Lacey and Trent Richardson, are really doing a good job getting good after contact yardage. But it's been about their defense, and that's we're going to really see how this plays out in this next week or so. I think the other interesting matchup in conference, Auburn, South Carolina. Auburn's just struggling with their defensive front. They've not been able to defend the run. Marcus Lattimore, they're going to see a heavy dose of him this week. South Carolina is struggling. Connor Shaw, Steven Garcia, they can't find a mix that's working in the passing game, but Lattimore is really carrying this team. I expect they're going to give Auburn quite a battle, particularly at home here. Ole Miss goes out to the San Joaquin Valley and plays Fresno State. I'm not so sure what team looks worse on film in the SEC,
Wow.
Kentucky or Ole Miss. Both are really struggling, but Ole Miss, that's a tough road matchup for them. Fresno State, my buddy Pat Hill's the head coach there, former office mate in the Cleveland Browns. They're going to run the football and try to test Ole Miss. We'll see what they can do. They could certainly use a big game for Houston. Buffalo goes to Tennessee. Tennessee got some injuries against Florida. They should rebound here and be able to score enough points. I tell you, Mississippi State goes to Georgia, and this is a game that's really important for Mark Richt. He's in that job save mode. And I do believe my feeling from inside that Georgia athletic department is that he's probably going to save his job. But this is the type of game, and we talked about it in the Ole Miss game. That was certainly a dagger if they had lost that. They didn't. And Ole Miss played pretty well. But this Mississippi State team is very capable of going on the road, playing with Georgia. This is a game I think Georgia's got to win. I think that they lose this game, it really sets a bad momentum the rest of the year, and I think it could be costly for his job future there. We'll see on that without question. And then real intriguing matchup is you got Texas A&M going against Arkansas, and it's a future conference matchup. Arkansas certainly rebounding off the Alabama game, in which they struggled without a running attack. They couldn't balance out their offense against this Alabama team. And Texas A&M, I mean, my goodness, they dominated Oklahoma State, a matchup of two good-looking teams in the top 10. They couldn't run the football against Oklahoma State, couldn't protect their lead. For the second year in a row, they lost a 21-point lead in the third quarter to the same Oklahoma State team. So how does Texas A&M come off of that? That was a difficult loss. Arkansas's loss against Alabama was difficult. We'll see how it plays out as Texas A&M goes to Arkansas. So that's kind of a rundown of all the matchups in the SEC outside of the LSU-Kentucky matchup.
A couple of things about the SEC, three things in particular. One, as we now know, Texas A&M will join the conference. You just talked about them. They will be the 13th team, and they will join in the calendar year of 2012.
Academic year,
academic
right?
School year, and they will join in the sports scheduling, and that's bringing up some issues. I read some comments today from Commissioner Mike Sly of the SEC. There's no immediate plan. They're not in a hurry to add anybody else. I don't know if I totally believe that. I think there'll be a 14th team by July 1 of next summer. Who? I don't know. But Texas A&M brings a lot into this conference. And on a personal note, the new head basketball coach at Texas A&M is a Louisiana native, an alumnus of Holy Cross, as am I, and used to coach at Southeastern, brought them to the NCAA tournament. The men's basketball coach, Billy Kennedy, longtime friend of mine. I talked to Billy about a week and a half ago. That was before they came into the SEC, but so it's good for Billy, and being a Louisiana native, he'll bring his basketball team in here to play LSU. But this is a change. The SEC has not changed since, I want to say, 92, when South Carolina and Arkansas were brought into the fold. So you're looking at 1920, when it happens, 20 years since there's been a change. You know, some people resist change, but in 1964, Bob Dylan sang, "The times they are a-changing." Well, here you go, Bob. You're still correct.
It's going to be interesting to see. It does bring some scheduling difficulties. We all know the conference shuffle and movement has been taking place behind the scenes, and there is some serious discussion. Here's what's going on. The Big 12's trying to survive and try to come together and restructure their deal that can be more friendly to the rest of the and less more revenue sharing. Not that there's not revenue sharing, but there's not the revenue sharing as there is in other conferences. They want to get more of that. So you've got, for example, the chairman of the Big 12 is the chancellor of Missouri. Well, why is Missouri important? Well, they're trying to get this new deal done with the Big 12, but still has a deal secretly made with the SEC. The SEC's already approved Missouri to come in. if the Big 12 goes under. They're not going to go chase Missouri. The Big 12 is going to survive. They're going to be in the Big 12. But obviously Missouri's in a situation where they're kind of using that as leverage, and there's a lot of undercurrent going on that if they can't get quite what they want, that they might scoot. So we need to look out for that. I think there's going to be a lot that's going to change maybe in another year or so. Remember, 2014 is when the BCS agreement it needs to be up for renewal, so that could cause could cause more movement down the road, but it could even happen before that.
Well, and we'll see what does play out on that, and time will tell. Although the Big 12, it appears they are going to try to rally and save the conference, and that may involve bringing another team or two or three aboard. And it's a tall task, I think, but nonetheless, it appears that they're going to try to salvage it.
Texas doesn't want to go independent. They don't want to go They want to keep the Big 12 alive. So they're kind of going to open up and say we're going to go ahead and allow some more of the revenue sharing, which has been more advantageous to Texas, and spread it around a little bit. Now, to the satisfaction of everyone else, we don't know. Now, Texas wants Brigham Young in the Big 12. Other schools in the conference would love to bring in a TCU and get them out of their Big East agreement, or a Houston, or an SMU. Texas doesn't want another Texas school, imagine that. So, there's still the politics going on. So stay tuned. I think we're seeing Chuck Ninus, a good friend. I've done a lot of coaching search work stuff with him, and he is certainly someone that's been around, former commissioner of the Big 8, folks, and he's now the new interim commissioner of the Big 12. He has an idea how to pull some of this together, so we'll see if it survives. Is it a short-term fix? Is it a long-term fix? Don't know. You got some situations still in the Big East. Why is that tied to it? If there's a couple of more teams that leave from the Big East to the ACC, does that have an effect? Maybe make other conferences a little more antsy to get another two while the getting's good? They say no, but trust me, the administrators that are involved in this, they only lie when their lips are moving.
All right, I got two other questions for you. We've got a month in the books in the Southeastern Conference. What has been your biggest surprise? Hey, I didn't see that one coming regarding the Southeastern Conference.
Well, I would say that I think LSU is a little bit better than I thought they would be offensively, and I think that's a surprise. I can't say I didn't see it coming, but it's a little bit of a surprise. How bad Ole Miss and Kentucky are is a little bit of a surprise. I didn't expect them to be good. I expect them to be near the bottom of the East and West, but they really are struggling on film. Auburn, how bad they are defensively. I knew they were young, but I didn't see them struggling to get off blocks as much as I did this early. So those are things that jump out. In South Carolina, just can't figure out their passing attack. That has been real disappointing watching them on film. They're struggling.
Well, you kind of walked into my next question there. What's been the disappointment, something that you thought you might be able to see through 4 weeks of play through the months of September, and it hadn't happened?
Well, I think that I think South Carolina offensively has been a disappointment. I don't know who's going to win the East, but I don't see a really good team there, and I think Florida's looked the best to this point without question, but I think that's going to maybe start to self-correct itself here. Mississippi State, a lot of injuries. I'm not saying it's a surprise, but it's a good team, but there you see the lack of depth starting to kind of play into. I think that Georgia, in some respects, have played a little bit better and responded to adversity. I don't think they're a really good team, but I like the way they fought. That's been a positive. Arkansas, I think, has been maybe one of the more disappointing situations, but just the lack of a running game. I still think they have a chance to be pretty good by season's end. I think that loss against Alabama was more about Alabama than Arkansas, but they don't have enough balance offensively. I think by the end of the year, they're a team that could give LSU some trouble.
Chris, give everybody a hint of what they'll get on this week's edition of the Chris Landry Show. Of course, it's heard each and every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. on The Score, 12:10 a.m. in Baton Rouge, streaming online at thescore1210.com. What you got this week?
Well, we'll talk a little bit about Kentucky LSU. We'll talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Saints opponent this week and kind of get you up to date on that. Really kind of get into some of the key college matchups. Nebraska-Wisconsin's a big one. The aforementioned Alabama-Florida game, we'll break that down. We'll look at some other Clemson-Virginia Tech. Can Clemson, one of the biggest surprise in the country to me at this point. They're going to road the Blacksburg. We'll see how that plays out. Some other good college matchups we'll get into. Some good matchups in the NFL. We've got the Raiders and the Patriots. We've got the Lions, the unbeaten Lions against the Cowboys, and all the latest news around college football and the NFL. So we look forward to it. Hope you can give us a listen.
Chris, I've been doing a little research this week. I do my picks on Pelican Sports Radio on Friday afternoons. I think Nebraska is not going to enjoy their trip to Camp Randall Stadium against Wisconsin. They're changing out some defensive backs. Russell Wilson's playing awful good from Wisconsin. I'm not trying to get into a pick'em segment right here on Tigers Roar, but I don't think the Cornhuskers are going to enjoy their trip into Madison.
Well, it's their first Big Ten test, and I do think that Wisconsin's a more balanced team. I think Russell Wilson's been outstanding. I think their perimeter run game has been good. They've got two good backs, certainly, that Wisconsin does. And Camp Randall is one of the more intriguing environments in the Big Ten and all of college football. Camp Randall's really good. I think they're a little bit better team. Listen, Nebraska's got to find some element of passing attack. They don't balance out their offense. They're a 2-to-1 run-to-pass ratio team. Getting that one-dimensional against this Wisconsin team on the road could be problematic. Defensively, they've got good personnel. They've underachieved on the defensive side as Nebraska.
And dear North Carolina State, hindsight's 20/20, but I don't know that you had a better quarterback than Russell Wilson in there.
No,
anyway,
that's
a couple other things. You see the Facebook page. Don't forget Pelican Sports Radio, Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. on the Score, 12:10 a.m. with Chris Landry and me, Tommy Christ, and your phone calls. Lots of specials and features during the week. That's all on Pelican Sports Radio. And immediately following the LSU-Kentucky game at about 2:30 on Saturday, it'll be the phones first WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show with Richard Condon. Richard Condon and me, Tommy Christ, and his forehead fits on the TV screen. It really does. We'll take your phone calls immediately following that game, simulcast, radio and TV. WJBO 1150 AM in Baton Rouge and Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans. I want to thank the entire crew here at Pelican Sports TV. Thank Chris Landry. We can't do it without all the people viewing as well. I'm Tommy Christ, and you've been watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV.